Hello, and welcome to Street Aesthete. This is the show where we explore street view coverage of a noteworthy location, looking out for beautiful architecture and stunning scenery, while I amuse myself by remarking on what we see. You rejoin me in the western part of central London. We've been exploring the Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. In the first episode, we were looking around Sloane Square. Now I'm going to take you a little bit more over to the west. Now this is an area of London that many tourists do go to. They will go to South Kensington Tube Station because the Natural History Museum and the Science Museum are just here, as well as the V&A, one of my favourite museums, the Victoria and Albert. But just south of this very heavily touristed area are some really fantastic residential areas with some stunning architectural heritage, and I'm going to show you around them. I'm going to find some coverage that doesn't have the scaffold, maybe in fact one on a sunnier day, something like that, looking good. Yes, with the sun hitting this building just right, and now we get the full effect of this row and its wonderful classical uniformity. Something that I love about this is the way that the balconies, many of them are decorated with plants, little olive trees, just gorgeous, and a beautiful pink blossom over there. Now, I do love this sort of architecture. This is, I think, what we would call a Regency style, although the Regency architecture was built in a particular decade in the 19th century, and I don't recall which one it is, and many of the buildings in a similar style were actually built outside of that decade. But it's characterised by these wonderful white porticos with their columns, and we can also see buildings that harken back to the Georgian architecture of the previous century, with the symmetry and uniformity of the windows, with this beautiful brickwork in between. But, as the Victorians were keen on, much more of a nod to the classical, with these triangular decorations above the windows. But the thing that's missing in my books is a gable here, a decoration on top. And I spoke in my street view exploration of Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic about why it's important to have extra decoration on the top of your buildings. But what the slightly later Victorian architecture, characterised by this beautiful red brick, really does have is some extra ornamentation at the top of the buildings. And that's the kind of thing that I really go wild for. I love the colour of the brick, and I love the variety of designs, lots of variation on the theme, whereas the earlier Regency style architecture we were looking at is a lot more uniform. There's just much more scope for creativity in this later Victorian red brick architecture. Some really gorgeous streets around here. Would be wonderful to live in an area like this. My wife watches this soap opera, or maybe it's a reality show called Made in Chelsea, which is about some very vapid young people who live in this area. I can't stand it. The young women are extremely superficial and often talking behind each other's backs. And actually the young men are pretty much exactly the same. Really gorgeous the way that the white contrasts with this rather paler sort of brick. I believe that the colour of the brick here comes from chalk that is used in the material that goes into the brick. The red brick, I think, comes from the high iron oxide content. And we've returned to this church here, and we've got a little mews to go down and explore. Beautiful. I love these little streets the mews is tucked away. And that is our first instance of a Union flag, although not a literal flag. I'm always pleased, as I say, to see the national flag of the country we're exploring on display. And so much distinguished architecture around. And one of the amazing things to think of is that where there are gaps in the architecture, when you see newer buildings, it's probable that that gap was filled in previously, and that the building was destroyed during the German bombing campaign in the 1940s. So it would have been just incredible to see this part of London at the turn of the century, before parts of it were destroyed, although much of it clearly, as you can see, is still intact. To see it at the height of its glory. Confident, unabashed, and proud to be British. Unusual here, we've seen framed down this street this white-topped gable here. Looks as though it probably has been painted, perhaps to make it a little bit different from the other buildings surrounding it. And we're now getting into the vicinity of Gloucester Road and Gloucester Road Tube Station, which I think is the next one over from where we started at Sloane Square on the District Line. Just incredible, there's so much to take in here. It's so crisp and wedding cake looking. The white stucco decoration that we see around the windows here just looks so tasty, you know, buildings that look good enough to eat. And there's this feeling that every time we come to a junction and I choose a street, we're probably missing out on something else. Had we decided to go, I think we will have to go down there. But I do definitely want to take a look at the building just here. Very Dutch looking, I would say, the way that there are all these little white highlights among the red brick. And a very classically Dutch style gable here. It's just so beautiful in the summertime. Incredible. Incredible. I do generally want to be heading west because I have got a few particular places that I have in mind that I want to show you, but every way we go I'm just drawn off in a different direction to explore what's on show here. Interesting, looks like they've got a bit of a courtyard situation going on here on the upper floor. Yeah, I'm going to head over here and then perhaps double back on myself to look at the street on the other side that I noted earlier. I shudder to think how much it would cost to buy a property like one of these. And we've been spotted. Incredible. I love it. I love the place. There are just so many unique designs, so much decoration. When you think of the stuff that gets built now, it just can't hold a candle to this. We seem to have almost given up nowadays on the idea of building anything beautiful. We're only interested in function and the cost to the building contractor. But surely there can be some sort of compromise made, can't there? Surely we can manage to build something beautiful that also serves the purpose that the building is needed for. And I believe we are emerging onto the High Street at Earls Court. Another tube station over. And although it's full of beautiful buildings in its own right over here, this isn't quite where I want it to be. And I think I just spotted, unusual, a rare England flag. And I believe I want to take you down this particular street. To explore the buildings here. Now, you may think that all of this is starting to look a little bit samey. And to some extent, you're right. There is really only so much red brick with white highlights that we can look at on one occasion. And you can say that if you like. But this is the Street Aesthete channel, and we look at the stuff that I find beautiful. And I just happen to find this exceedingly beautiful. And I can't get enough of it. Let's find a sunny day. Either of these look good. Fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. And we're just going to go back on ourselves a little bit to look at the next square over. Really gorgeous. It's an architecture spotter's dream. And we're getting back onto the high street at Earls Court here, and indeed there is the station, which is itself a very beautiful building. And we've got a fabulous pub here as well. I haven't by any means shown you even a fraction of the incredible buildings that are here in London, and I've actually got quite a few more just in this area alone that I want to show you. So for the first time ever on the Street Aesthete channel, we're going to be returning for a part 3. And since you've made it this far into the video, why not subscribe so that you don't miss it? If you enjoy the music that you've been hearing in this video, then take a look at my first channel, which is where I upload all of my original music.